Welcome to Tower Bridge Court. This is a very exciting project to be involved with. The construction industry is a big net contributor to greenhouse gases, and at Wilmot Dixon we're proud to say that we've been carbon neutral since 2012. This project is unique in that we're reducing our carbon footprint by removing 2 floors and facade of a 1980s building. We're adding 3 levels of a steel frame and introducing a more efficient envelope. This method of construction dramatically reduces the net carbon contribution compared to a complete demolition and new build. We are challenging ourselves to create a building that is net zero carbon in operation. Tower Bridge Court is a project where we are working on behalf of a company called 4 Partnership, who are extremely forward-thinking and are challenging our industry to do well by doing right.
Hi, I'm Basil Demirudis, Managing Partner of 4 Partnership. We've been around for about 10 years or so. We set up to prove that we could do well by doing right in the real estate business. We're focused on retrofitting and renovating mostly office buildings, commercial office buildings here in the UK. Part of our mission is to, in every building that we do, make sure that they're net zero carbon in operation so that we're reducing the amount of emissions that we're putting into the atmosphere. But equally, we're extremely focused on the embodied carbon question and reducing the amount of carbon that we're putting into the buildings as we build and construct them. Embodied carbon is responsible for around 80% of the carbon that a building emits over its 20 or 30-year life cycle. So we really need to focus on the embodied carbon question as much as we do the operational carbon. So we're putting lots of innovations to work in our buildings. We're looking at innovations in concrete to reduce the amount of cement that we're putting into our buildings. We're reusing steel that we're taking from other buildings in London and further afield. We're looking at really everything that comes through the front door of the building and thinking, how can we do better? How can we reduce the amount of damage that we're doing to the environment through our activities? Tower Bridge Court, or as we call it, TBC London, is our flagship London building, obviously incredibly prominent location next to Tower Bridge. In some ways, what we want to do is turn this into an exemplar project. It is so highly visible. Tower Bridge itself is the second most photographed man-made object on Earth after the Sydney Opera House. So if we can turn TBC London into a project that everyone can see, it's possible to take an old, tired 1980s concrete frame building and rehabilitate it, turn it into something that's forward-thinking, forward-leaning, and built for the future. I think for us that will have achieved our mission there. We need to consider our activity in terms of the whole urban system. Part of it is, of course, our activity and what we're doing as an investor and landlord, but we also need to work in close collaboration all the way up through the supply chain, construction partners, community groups, social enterprises, culture, arts, food, transportation, infrastructure. These are all important elements that help us to achieve our mission. And Wilmot Dixon's been great. At every corner, every turn, we've tried to challenge one another, frankly, as to what's best practice.
4 Partnership's vision for Tower Bridge Court is industry leading and aligns with our Wilmot Dixon Now or Never strategy. This is great news for a sustainable future.